Good morning, everybody. There were many dramatic events in the 1850s leading up to the Civil War, which started in 1861, and one of those was the series of debates between a pretty obscure lawyer from Illinois, Abraham Lincoln, and the sitting senator from Illinois, one of the most powerful politicians in the country, Stephen Douglas. And it was on August 21 in 1858 that they had their first debate. In 1840, a third party was formed, the Liberty Party. It was for abolition of slavery. Now, this is 2 decades before the Civil War. That same year, 1840, the election, the winner was William Henry Harrison, a Whig, and the Whigs were the party that Lincoln belonged to at that time. This also leads to one of the footnotes of American history. Harrison was only president for a month, and then he died, and John Tyler became president. Tyler wasn't very popular with either the Congress or his own cabinet. And it's also at this time period that you get the first large groups going to California via the Oregon Trail and then the California Trail. So that's in the background all through our time period. In the election of 1844, the Democrat won, Mr. Polk, and Polk was overtly an expansionist, and he didn't hide that. And it was during the Polk years that we went to war with Mexico from 1846 to 48, resulted in major growth of our country. It was not popular with everybody. In 1846, David Wilmot of Pennsylvania proposed a clause that would prohibit slavery from any land taken from Mexico, which failed in the Congress. And in 1847, Lincoln, who was a one-term representative from Illinois, rose on the floor of the House to question aspects of the war with Mexico. And during the last year of the war with Mexico, gold was discovered in California at Sutter's Mill. So this is going to be another major thing going on at this time period, is people moving out to California for gold. So when the election of 1848 came, the winner was Zachary Taylor, and not pictured on this map was this party, the Free Soil Party, which rose out of the war with Mexico, didn't want any of the land taken from Mexico to have slavery in it. And the Free Soilers will contribute to what will become the Republican Party. So in 1850, Congress passed the Compromise of 1850. Among its provisions, California could enter as a free state. The Fugitive Slave Act was beefed up and other things, but it also signaled the end of an era. So you've got John C. Calhoun, Henry Clay, and Daniel Webster. Powers in the Senate are going to be disappearing from the scene, but not Stephen Douglas. So here's Stephen Douglas, senator from Illinois, wanted to be president in the worst way as the Democrat, and one of his ploys was to get this through Congress, the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which opened Kansas and Nebraska territory to slavery, where it had been closed. And he thought this would help him politically, but it backfired, and it actually led to a new party being formed, the Republican Party, in Ripon, Wisconsin. So this was a direct result of the Kansas-Nebraska Act being passed. So when Lincoln on the left debated Douglas on the right, Lincoln was a Republican. He had been a Whig, now he's a Republican. And they were running for the Senate of Illinois. And they went all around Illinois. These are the 7 places where they spoke. And if you look at the transcripts of what they said, they're more or less the same. Some variation depending on location. And it's striking by today's standards how long these debates were. They spoke for hours altogether. And people listened, and they were very attentive, and things were publicized in the press. This was truly a national event. The New York papers, the Chicago papers all picked it up, and it made Lincoln into a national person, I guess. So if you travel around Illinois and you come to one of the 7 places where they debated, just reflect upon those historical events.